Okay, today is May 2nd, 2011. You have two options right now. You guys can work on your text page 318, numbers 1 to 9, and that'll be the review questions for tomorrow's quiz. Option 2, I am going to show you how to do the bonus question that you're going to get on your test next Tuesday. You'll need to essentially recreate what I'm about to show you. The question will state, it'll say, turn a standard form quadratic equation into the quadratic formula. Okay? And what I'll do is I'll show you standard form. So I'll actually give you standard form, which is 0 equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and quadratic formula, which we're going to start using tomorrow. Sorry, yeah, after the quiz. Is x is equal to, so you have to set this formula equal to x. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So we'll start to learn this formula in the upcoming days. But your bonus question is to go from standard to quadratic formula, and I'm going to show you right now how to do that. Okay, so that is them written in color. We're used to having our A, red, B, blue, C, green. And this is what the quadratic formula looks like. There are 2 A's, 2 B's, and 1 C in the quadratic formula. In order to do this, you need to complete the square, which we have been doing, and you have to know how to do for your quiz, except we're not using any numbers today. We're going to use just letters. So, standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So this is the start of it. I'm going to show you how to do this going through the exact steps that we normally use for our completing the square. In your textbook, on page 293, they've also explained how to do this. Okay? So you'll have two options on how to complete this square. Very first step, when completing the square, we need to divide the first two terms by what? Anyone remember? By 8. So I take a out, and I'm left with x squared plus bx over a plus c. So I've divided both of those terms by a. Our next step is we normally take the number in front of the x. In this case, it's ba. So that's the number we have in front. BA. And normally we put it into this equation. Over 2, we divide it by 2 and square it. Okay? But this time, it's not just B, it's BA. So when I go to put it into this equation, it's going to look like this. It'll say B over 2A squared. Now, B over 2A squared, I'm going to simplify that. I'm going to expand it and simplify. So B over 2A squared is actually B over 2A times B over 2A, which is B squared over 4A squared. So normally we have a number we've divided and squared, divided by 2 and squared. In this case, we have variables representing it. Now, normally we take this number, our B squared divided by 4A squared, and we add and subtract it to the brackets. This is exactly what I'm going to do. I have A x squared plus BAX. And I usually write this in blue, so we're going to add B squared over 4A and subtract B squared over 4A. Plus C equals 0. So I've added and subtracted this to our equation now. Now the next step is I need to take the negative, up a little. We need to take the negative of that number, so this one here, and put it outside the brackets. And when I do that, I have to multiply it by A. So, in other words, oh, sorry, no one picked up on this. When I wrote these in here, let's just say squared and squared. Okay? When I go to take that out, I have to multiply it by A. So, what that's going to look like, squared plus B over A x plus B squared over 4A squared. Now, when I take that to the outside, I'm going to just quickly show you this in red. When I take B squared, sorry, negative B squared, 4A squared, times A, I'm left with negative AB squared over 4A squared. Now, technically what I can do here is this A to the power of 1 and this A to the power of 2. I can cancel the A's out. So this A will go away, and it'll just be negative B squared. And this A on the bottom, instead of having 2 of them, we only have 1. Yes, very good, Carlos. So it's rewritten as negative B over 4A. So that's what the number is when it comes outside of the bracket. So I'm going to put it here, negative B over 4A plus C equals 0. Remember, the blue and red are side calculations. Okay? So now I've moved that to the outside. When we complete the square, we find this bracket is a perfect square trinomial. So in other words, I square root the first number, square root the last number, and take the sign from the second and square our bracket. So that would be A. Square root of x squared is x. Okay, now let's make sure you guys understand the square root of our B squared. I'll do it here in green. Square root of B squared is just B. And square root of 4A squared is 2A. So we get a fraction B over 2A. Put the squared on the outside of the brackets, and we bring down our positive. So I've now simplified that bracket. A, x plus B over 2A squared. And on the outside, I still have negative 4A plus C equals 0. So in terms of completing the square, guys, we've pretty much gone as far as we normally go in our pattern. But in order to get this into quadratic formula, I need to set this equal to x. So these are going to be some new steps that we're not used to doing. My next line says ax plus b over 2a squared. Now in the next step, what I need to do is I want to combine my negative b over 4a plus c. Now, c as a fraction is technically c over 1. And in order to add it to this here, I need to make the denominator 4a. So in other words, I have to multiply the top of the fraction and the bottom of the fraction by 4a. So this becomes 4ac over 4a. I'm changing c into this fraction. So it'll now look like negative b over 4a plus 4ac over 4a equals 0. So I'm simplifying the outside of this bracket right now. Okay? So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to make the outside of this bracket even a little more simpler. If that makes sense. This now, I'm going to make this one number and take out the negative. So when I take out this negative, this b is a positive, and this 4ac is a negative. And because the denominators are the same, I can put them both under 4a. So I've now put this as its own number almost. I took the negative out, and I put them both over the same number. Okay? Oh, don't forget that this is squared. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm trying to isolate x. So I want to move this entire bracket to the other side. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to move the second bracket to the other side of the equation. And when I do that, this negative is going to become positive. So on the other side, this will just be bracket b minus 4ac. I feel like, no, because our 0 is already gone. We subtracted from it. Then that. So, all right, guys, I knew something was missing here. This squared, I forgot to write it in the question. Remember we canceled out our a's? This should have still said b squared. So on the outside, this b should just have a little squared sign to it, okay? Squared, squared. I just forgot to write it in. Nothing big. Still have the exact same equation. So now that I've done this, I'm trying to isolate x. So I'll have an a over here. It says a times this. I'm going to divide this by a. In other words, canceling out the two a's. But when I bring the a to the other side, what's going to happen? So I divide this all by a and these cancel out. This a essentially comes to the bottom of the fraction. So it becomes 4a times a. What is 4a times a? Anyone know? 4a squared. Good. So we have b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. So I need to isolate x, which means I got to get rid of this squared sign. So I'm going to square root both sides of the equation. So this will now become x plus b over 2a. Okay, square root is gone. And when I go to square this, b squared minus 4ac, and I can square root the bottom. So I'm square rooting the top and the bottom of this right now. Okay? Now, I can't simplify the top. Square root of b squared minus 4ac, I can't simplify that. As simple as it gets. But I can simplify the bottom. The square root of 4a squared. Does anyone know what that's going to be? That's right. Square root of 4a squared is 2a. So, we now have x plus b over 2a is equal to the root of b squared minus 4a squared over 2a. I'm trying to isolate for x, so I'm going to bring over the b over 2a to this side. X equals negative b over 2a. Now, because this is a square root, guys, that means I'll get both a positive and a negative answer. For instance, the square root of 25. Square root of 25 is both positive 5 and negative 5. So we represent it like this, plus or minus 5. So because I have a square root, I'm just going to push a plus or minus sign in front of this, because I will get both answers over 2a. Now, if you notice, both of these denominators are the same. So I can combine the top and just have one denominator, which is plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So what I have here now, this is the quadratic equation, guys. Okay? I went and after all those steps, I created that. I can do this in 2.5 minutes if I wasn't explaining it. That's what we did. Okay? That's your bonus question. Good luck, guys.